Hello, everybody. See if everything's all right. And let me just check out here. If everything's all right here. So, how's everybody? I'm just gonna check a little something here. Mr. Paul just waking up in his chair. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'll try to get my voice back to normal. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave radio show. And we are live twice a week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC, sorry. And on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and that's 20 UTC. Hope that you enjoy the show today. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. What is this all about? Well, this is all about radio. Shortwave radio mostly, but long wave, medium wave. Sometimes we go into the VHF, UHF stuff. And we are happy to be here. After last Friday power outage due to the car slamming into the pole at the end of the street. So couldn't happen today. They closed the street because they're doing some work. So that would not have been possible unless there was some kind of freak accident of some sort. I see that there's kind of reflection of some lights on this thing. Try to... Oh, sorry. Oops. Scanner down. Let me just, I'd like to just move this so that it doesn't have that reflection. I think it's going to be okay. So, my name is Gilles, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And of course, we have a Facebook group, which has the same name as the channel, which is Official SWL Channel. And it's a great group where people are having a lot of fun. It's kind of an extension of this live show. People are in the chat room, are having fun, talking about radio. I like to see my hair like that. So, it's a great group. I mean, there's posting all the time of people, what they're listening to, radio pictures, videos. And just having a lot of fun with radio in general, and it's really, really nice. I post regularly there also. And we're at 408 people as of today. So it's really, really cool to have everybody here. And so Official SWL Channel is the group. And I hope that you enjoy being there. There's a chat room here. If you have a Gmail account, you can actually log in and say hi and interact with everybody. I was looking at my email. My email here is official shortwave radio at gmail.com. We have Elizabeth saying hello to everybody from Regina, Saskatchewan. And we have a new... viewer that found my show last week on Wednesday. And his name is Roger, and he's in the state of Montana. And he says hello to everybody. He does not chat. He does read the chat, but he does not participate, but wanted to say hi through email just before the show started. So, hello, everybody. Nice to have you on board. And we have a cat that I think is going to come and say hi to everybody at the same time. Mr. Paul, the mascot of the show. is here. And here we go. Mr. Paul saying hi. Here we go. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Hey, Mr. Paul, look at the camera. Don't look at me. Look at the camera. And so it's nice to have everybody here. So here's Mr. Paul saying hi to everyone. And so, of course, we will talk about radio today. And hope that you enjoy our show. My drink today is vodka, 7-Up, and cranberry juice. So cheers, everybody. No beer today. As the grocery store where I go to, they have a problem, and they didn't have the beer that I actually usually like. So I decided, I got some vodka. Let's do a little drink instead. So whatever you're having, coffee, tea, cola, it's fine. Water, perfect. No problem there. And hope that you enjoy today's show. And we have in the chat room Rick, W8PRR, WOHP 1390 in Western Ohio. Nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess from Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you on board. John W., nice to have you here from East Tennessee. Esteban, nice to have you on board from the Canary Islands. This is cool, from the Canary Islands. Randy in Riverside, California. Hey there. Shelly, nice to have you here from Central Pennsylvania. Michael Langer, nice to have you here from Chicago. Nerdy Gray Fox, hey, nice to have you on board. Emile de Quebec, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Jeff King, nice to have you on board from Jacksonville, Florida. 72 Fahrenheit. That's perfect weather for radio outside in the sunshine. Pablo, nice to have you on board from Buenos Aires. 31 Celsius. Wow, that's summer. Hope you're taking it easy and going outside and enjoying the weather a little bit. Well, it's full of cat hair. We have VE3KRP. Fast Eddie, nice to have you here from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Scott Granston, nice to have you here from Massachusetts, USA. Nick Amendot from Romania, nice to have you here. Trimbali Mr. Bale, nice to have you on board. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board from Greenfield Park, Quebec. What do you want to do, man? You want to? I know you want to try to position yourself, but I don't know how. My little furry friend. Glue Ninja, nice to have you here, my friend, from Sheffield, UK. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Always nice to have you on board, my friend. And we have... let me just, I lost my spot here. So we have Keegan in Northwest Arkansas, 35 Fahrenheit, cloudy. That's about what we have here. It's plus 1 Celsius, so it's like 2 Fahrenheit, 3 Fahrenheit, something like that. Not 2, 3, 33 or 34 Fahrenheit, sorry. Tech Guy, nice to have you on board. From work, sneaking in. Hope you don't get caught. Joe Rodman, nice to have you on board from the Chicago area. Keegan has reception with his Ethan Grunick Field BT radio. What else? Trond, nice to have you here from Norway. Always nice to have you on board. And she says hi to Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Paul, but you got your claws in my leg, and it's not good. Of the Dawn, nice to have you on board. Mad Radio DXer, good afternoon. Kimberly, K6YYL, down with the flu. Well, you know what? You take care, you take it easy, and you watch the show like this and just enjoy yourself. It's going to make you forget that you got the flu. Matt, nice to have you on board from Colorado. Nice to have everybody here. Brian Penny, Nice to have you here. I look more relaxed today. I am pretty much relaxed today. Why was I tense on Wednesday? I'm a little tired, actually. I didn't sleep well and came home late last night. I started watching the new Dracula series on Netflix. Went to bed at like 3 a.m. and didn't sleep well, so I'm kind of a little a little tired. Jersey bound. Nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Pretty cool. And I'm sounding good in Matt's car stereo. Cool. I guess I must have. If you have a lot of bass, I must have that deep voice within the car. And what else do we have? Newscape channel. Nice to have you here. Jeff Williams. Nice to have you on board, my friend, from Cornwall. Joe, nice to have you here. Can you recommend a good indoor antenna for my Grundig Satellite 750? I'm using a wire strung around the room right now with so-so success. Yeah, probably one of the problems of that wire within your home is the fact that it has a lot of noise, so you're not receiving all the weaker stations. We talk a lot about the MLA30 loop antenna, and I think for an indoor use, it's a good antenna, and would possibly improve somewhat over just a wire. It's roughly $45 US dollars on eBay. The MLA30 magnetic loop antenna. Purchased mine for $44 US dollars, shipping included, and it is an amazing antenna. If something indoor would work well, that would, and possibly give you better reception. There was a guy that I was watching a YouTube video the other day. The guy purchased an MLA30, and he had a really long wire, like 200 feet long wire, but it was noisy. And when he got the MLA30, he was amazed at how better reception was suddenly. So in a noisy environment, I think that is probably the best for indoor use, at least, and even outdoor use. Kimberly and Keegan says hello, Elizabeth. Mad Radio DX says hello to Paul. Paul DX the cat, yes. William KC9 TVN. Oh, I can put the camera up now, I guess, so you guys don't see my big belly, but see the screen. There we go. That must be better. Specky Costello, nice to have you here on the channel, of course. Jeff Barrett, nice to have you here. I think we are experiencing a little bit of Canadian rain here in Cincinnati on Saturday. So we're going to have a mixed bag of stuff this weekend. Kind of rain and snow and maybe some freezing rain. Looks weird. 3 weekends in a row where the weather is going to be kind of weird. It's funny, that pattern of, Saturday, Sunday. 3rd weekend in a row, Saturday, Sunday with so-so weather. Snow or all sorts of things happening. Keegan's having buttermilk. Donna F, nice to have you on board from Providence, Rhode Island. Pretty cool. It's a pretty big pussycat, absolutely. Newscape channel. Yeah, he isn't small. He weighs 20 pounds. Tia Jones 709, nice to have you on board from Wales. Mad Reader DXer says also hello to Elizabeth and all non-participants. And he says, remember, you're more than welcome to chat here. Absolutely. I mean, this is a great place and a great chat. And people are really, really cool. It's one of those really nice groups. And I think this is a lot of fun to see that everybody's happy to, be here, help each other. Nobody pretends to be better than anybody else. We're all in the same boat, loving radio. And I think that's the first thing that we got to remember. We love radio. Rick Satter, nice to have you here, my friend. Lynn Crosby, nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Kenny Rankin, nice to have you here, Kenny. EA8DEU, Canary Islands also. We've got people from the Canary Islands. This is nice. Joe, nice to have you here. Michael Andrew, Static Cat. Ray in Clayton, North Carolina, nice to have you on board. Kimberly, Jill, you know, you are loved when you just start your show and you already have one hater with 1 thumbs down. Yeah, I must be doing something right. I can tell you that. It's just funny. It's just funny. It's when I post the videos. You know, I post a video and I see a thumbs down and I'm like, yeah. Easy. You know, when you have no life, that's what you do. You just do that. That's all. Old Radio Man. Nice to have you here from Northeast Tennessee. Canton Man, nice to have you on board from Atlanta, Georgia. Pretty cool. Newscape channels from Chelmsford, Essex, home of Marconi's factories for most of the last century. Cool. Danny Shortwave and Radio DX, nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. Charlie W8CFO, nice to have you on board from Columbus, Ohio. 65 years a ham. Cool. Nothing better than having ham radio in the blood. Keegan says his dad W9JEF is been a ham over 65 years. Wow. Man, imagine being a ham, 60 years ago. It's just incredible. Like, the 50s, where they're like, it's just must have been so much fun. And, I mean, all the activity and if there's one thing I would like is the ability to go back in time to see, how all of that, all the radio bands were, the type of programs and what stations were on the air and like in the 40s and 50s and 60s. I would have loved to see that. I'm fortunate enough for those that are younger and starting now or barely starting in the last 10, 15 years. I'm at least fortunate enough to have seen still a pretty good chunk of when shortwave was very popular. Yes, still yet. In the 80s, and at least I can kind of use that experience and remember if it was like that in the 80s, it must have been something in the 70s and 60s and 50s when all of that was at its peak, basically. Dexfar 74, nice to have you here from Germany. Larry Stevens, nice to have you on board, and says hello to Elizabeth. James de Calais, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Cold north of France. So it's cold today. Rufus Newt says his MLA30 is still indoors and it works well. So, I think it's a good antenna. Would be a good antenna. Then what do we have? Cyberflyer 1, nice to have you here. Rob, nice to have you on board, says hello to Elizabeth from Phoenix, Arizona. And, 9 kilos, Dinkamendot. Pretty big cat. Rufus News has been crappy here on the weekends too, and a mixed bag this weekend. Yeah, same. Well, we're not very far, and a lot of the weather we get here, where you're probably in, get it like a little earlier than us. So, Scott Branson, nice to have you here. PLF Radio says, I'm still trying to find a stand for the MLA30 that I use indoors. Just for the info, I can't use it outdoors. You could, I don't know, I would adapt a camera stand or something with it. I would find a way to do that. Oscar Castillo. Nice to have you on board, Oscar. From Mexico. Pretty cool. Randall Kluntz. Nice to have you on board from Chicago. Ian Arling. Nice to have you here. Can you recommend a portable receiver that is good down on the low frequency bands? Anybody? I don't really know that much of the capabilities of my portables that I own on the low frequency, like if you're talking about long wave, because here it's very difficult for me to actually listen to anything on long wave because of the noise and all. Anybody would have a recommendation for a good portable for long wave that is good overall, but also good in long wave? Because I'm not sure. I've seen people saying that the XH Data D808 wasn't that great on long wave. I don't know. I don't know. I would need to find a way to test it in some manner to see if I can, which ones would be better. Jean-Marc Letts, nice to have you on board. Still not too cold. No snow yet in Strasbourg, France. Cool. Bienvenue, mon ami. Amateur Radio. Nice to have you on board, Tim. G5TM from the UK. And we have Scott Branson. That is KD4NZJ. Pretty cool. So one recommendation from Mad Radio DXer, the Sony ICF 2010. Randall Klantz will get his MLA30 tomorrow. Woohoo! Cool. Joe says, I can tell you in the 70s there were plenty of shortwave broadcasts. Yeah, like the 80s, you know. When I started in 82, I just turned on the radio and boom, there was an amazing amount of stations out there. PLF Radio. Imagine if you could take the modern portable radios back to the 50s to 80s era. Oh, man. Imagine showing a 1950 guy an XH Data D808. He's just going to wonder how they could do that so small. Hihab. Nice to have you on board from Brussels, Belgium. Joe says, does the MLA30 take that loop shape when you take it out of the package? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's actually simply kind of rolled tighter. It's already looped, but it's rolled tighter so that it takes less space. But once you take it out, it loops to the regular size of its for the shape. Spiky Costello says, weather in Manchester, wet and cold. Yeah, well, it's a lot of what the weather is in that part of the world. We have Alan Lafferty that is watching from Montreal. We have Neil Toombs that is laying in bed with sweats and shivers. Hope you are you're getting better, my friend. Neil Toombs, Neil M0CJM watching. Just sent a little email to say that he's watching. And hey, we have Mark that also sent a little hello. He's watching regularly. And he's located in the state of Nevada. And he says, always nice to have you on board. Always nice to see Paul the cat. And so thanks for saying hi, my friend. Joe says use a light stand. They are cheap on eBay. That's I'm sure if you go out and go to a hardware store or something, you can easily find something that would suit your ability to have it standing up. I would definitely probably personally use a camera stand. I can actually see it easily attaching a broomstick, for example, on the camera stand and having that loop indoors. It would work well, and there's some really cheap camera stands out there that would do the job. Plus, it would be easy to bring anywhere, actually, because you could just collapse the stand, bring it to the expedition, and just open the stand for pretty much everywhere. That's probably what I'm going to do with my second MLA-30. Put it on a camera stand or something like that. Radio TV History, nice to have you on board from Switzerland. Samuel Peterson, nice to have you here. Trimbali Mr. Bell says that the DX440 is good on long wave, big internal antenna. Callum, nice to have you here, my friend. And Scott Branson says, thank you for turning me on to SDR. Cool. We're going to talk a little bit because we've got, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right now, look at that beautiful little, let me just see if I can pull the wire a little bit more. Beautiful little SDR, which is the RSPDX right here. In the middle case with the 3 antenna connectors. That's what you see on the screen right now. This is the RSP1A that is right now unplugged. I will actually find it another type of use. But right now what you see over there is the RSPDX. And it has 2 antennas connected to it right now. The W6LVP is on antenna connector B, the MLA-30 on connector A. Larry P, nice to have you here from Georgia. Samuel Peterson, nice to have you here. Sam from New Mexico. GNU Ninja says, my Texan PL600 is mostly what I use on long wave. So, you know, I it's difficult because I can't really test it much. And I have some people say that some of the Texan are no good on long wave, and others that use it and say, no, it's actually quite good. Look at the XH Data D808. I don't know, but it has a longer ferrite, and I would suspect that it might actually be good on long wave, I would guess. But like I said, it's something I can't really test much here. Callum's got Robert's radio and listens to long wave. Newscape channel, you need magnetic loop antennas for low frequencies to reduce noise. Ferrite rods are also effective. Ian Harling says, thanks for your mention. I am interested in the long wave non-directional beacons, and I do have an LF low frequency converter. Cool. Jose F. Figueroa, nice to have you on board from Puerto Rico. Hope everything is all right over there. WP4NUD. Esteban says, yesterday night with Philips shortwave radio in 49 meters, I got very well radio signal from international radio from China, 1,000 kilometers away. That seemed magical, the waves playing and bouncing in the ionosphere. Yeah, I mean, it is somewhat magical, honestly, you know? Oh, yeah, absolutely, Scott Cranston. That also would be pretty... You know, imagine just going in the 50s with my Acer Nitro 5 laptop, running SDR Uno, and showing the RSP1A or RSPDX. And so he would actually be amazed at so many things at the same time. He would be amazed at the computer, that we have that type of computer today. You would be amazed at the little black box that is a radio. I'm not even sure you would grasp the concept of that little black box is a radio plugged into a computer, and having a screen like that also that would have the display of all the signals. I think he would for a while say, no, that can't be that there's all of these signals. And you know, I would tell him to use his old receiver to tune the frequencies that I tell him, and he would probably be amazed. Dave Todd, nice to have you here, Dave, from Niagara. Pretty cool. Keegan is getting CHU on 14670. Ian says, but I was wondering if there is a portable radio that performs well down on the NDB frequencies, G7HFS. I'm sure there are some out there that actually do perform well on low frequencies, for sure. I'll try to find a way to test mine on long wave. Maybe if I go to the park, that would be an idea. Go to the park and try to there's like the stronger non-directional beacons of the airport here, but I know that in low noise, I actually hear non-directional beacons that are weaker, that are a little farther away. Maybe I should bring a bunch of portables, go to the park where it's super quiet, and try from there and see if there's any noticeable differences between the different portables that I have and talk about it. I think that would be a nice experiment, honestly. Dave Todd says he just hangs his MLA-30 from a hook on the ceiling. Yeah, that is also a good idea. Why not? That would work. That would work. Yeah, a tripod, Joe. Tremelli, Mr. Bale, wonder what will happen if two MLA-30s are attached to one SDR play box. Well, if they're each in their own connector, they would probably simply have same performance. If you're talking about kind of coupling them together in some way or connecting them together in some way, I don't know. Radio TV History says, my best portables for long wave, Sangean ATS 909X, Panasonic RFB65. And he says, XH data and most Texans are deaf on long wave. That's interesting. That's interesting. So, what else do we have? The Late Horror Show. Nice to have you on board from Cleveland. And just learning the RTL SDR. Cool. Ronald Klon says, does the MLA-30 compare with your sloper? Because my sloper is super noisy, the MLA-30 is really, really better. It doesn't compare. Actually, now that I have that capability, I should put the sloper in action on the RSPDX and switch between. But I haven't done really much compare of the sloper and MLA-30. That would be nice because it'd be easy now, because it's what's cool with the RSPDX is I just switch the antennas in SDR Uno. I just click and it switches what antenna I'm using. That would be probably nice. I'm going to check that out this week. BLF Radio says, did you notice some differences in terms of reception between the RSP1A and RSPDX? It's kind of hard because I haven't used them side by side, which is one of the things that I would like to do. What I kind of notice right now is that the RSPDX, it seems to be as good as the RSP1A. So that's one thing. It works really well. Where I am looking at is that the RSP1A has this funny way of sometimes having spurious signals. And you shut down SDR Uno and restart the software, and all the spurious signals are gone. And I started noticing that it depends on where the low frequency or the local oscillator frequency is. If I change it, I noticed that it changes it does change that effect. So it's some kind of interaction with strong signals. Most of the spurious signals are medium wave signals, so strong medium wave stations that are kind of going into the lower part of the band. It's not always there. I mean, most of the time it's not. And if I carefully choose the low frequency before tuning, there's no spurious signals. One of the things that I am looking at is, does the RSPDX do the same? And right now, I haven't seen any spurious signals. on the lower part of the frequency ranges. So I know that the RSPDX has a redesigned front end. So I would guess that maybe it's actually better at coping with strong signals and not overloading. One of the things I want to see also, because on the RSP1A, for example, if there's I was listening to the trucks that follow the snowblower in the streets because they removed the snow this week in the street. And when they were really close, of course, the CBers were very, very strong. I mean, they were just in the street in front here. So the signal in my MLA30 was really, really strong. I noticed that the signal, when they would talk, and the signal was really strong, it would desensitize slightly the RSP1A on CB. Now, one thing that I wasn't sure, and I will actually test it out in a different way, because one of the things I also was wondering is, could the MLA30 also become desensitized because it has an amplifier? So was it the RSP1A or is it the MLA30 that does that? So what I will do is put a simple wire, and I will use one of my CBs here and test it out and see if it's the RSP1A first of all. If it is, also we'll be testing and checking out if the RSPDX is better. One of the specs of the RSPDX also is it does mention its ability to cope better with strong signals. So there's a few things that are changed, that's for sure, in the RSPDX. And one of the things, of course, I want to try with the RSPDX is medium wave DXing. I did listen to the medium wave band the other day. One difference already that I've seen with the RSPDX is that on the RSP1A, I can max out the RF gain on medium wave and still receive medium wave. I noticed that on the RSPDX, if I max out the RF gain, it is unusable on medium wave. I have to lower the RF gain. Maybe because it's more sensitive on medium wave than the RSP1A. That said, I mean, it doesn't mean because you lower the RF gain that it's not performing well. It actually seems to perform at least as well as the RSP1A. It's just that you got to be careful not to push the RF gain to the max, because it does make a difference. It does, it's kind of the screen goes all like fuzzy, and there's just no more reception. But you lower the RF gain to about 80%, and then the signals come back. Everything is back to normal. So this is something that I kind of interesting to note. But I'm super happy with the RSPDX right now. Seems to work really, really well, and I'll have a review. Also the VHF, UHF that I'll be checking out. I've done a lot of it, but I want to, listen to ham satellites and stuff and see how sensitive and how well it copes with signals on VHF, UHF also. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says he used his RSPDX for all his HF listening, and now his old RSP1 is hooked up with his discount antenna for VHF, UHF listening. He says the RSPDX is a huge improvement on medium wave and long wave. So that is interesting. Remember that you could always build a long wave induction antenna for use with any portables like I did. It works a treat, and I could even get Iceland with the Texan PL390. Oh, interesting. That's something to check out. One of the things I want to check out is you guys have seen my tests on medium wave of the Texan AN48X antenna. And I mean, the Texan AN48X on medium wave is actually very nice and fun to use. I really enjoyed. I spent 4 hours last night with the CountyCom GP5 because I could plug in the antenna directly into the socket on the top for medium wave. And I had tons of fun yesterday listening to AM stations and nulling out some stations to try to get another station on the same frequency. And for that purpose, the AN48X Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Now, of course, one of the good questions that a lot of people asked, is it better than the AN200? I'm not ready to say it's better. And I will definitely compare two radios, the two antennas, sorry, with the same radio on medium wave, because I am curious. Is it better? One thing that it does that the AN200, which is a passive loop, because the AN48X is in active loop, it has an amplifier. I've noticed that on some signals on medium wave, it does actually push that signal strong enough that it actually overloads the receiver. Something that I haven't seen with the AN200 passive loop. So I would guess that it actually pushes those signals, amplifies them more than using just a passive loop. Now, that said, do you really need such an antenna? I'm not sure. I think if you have a good loop, even a passive loop, it might be enough. And the big question that a lot of people have been asking me, because you've seen me do the medium wave, and I'll be trying the long wave also. But on shortwave, it's very. I'm not happy with the shortwave aspect of that antenna. So the AN48X actually does long wave, medium wave, and shortwave. On shortwave above 15 megahertz, it seems to be almost unusable, or even I would say it either does nothing, or if it does something, it's just create more noise. One of the problems also I get on shortwave a lot with the Texan AN48X, you guys know that here I'm plagued with very high-powered FM stations that have breakthrough on some receivers. Well, it seems that the AN48X amplifier is overwhelmed by that also. And so on many frequency ranges, I hear a mishmash of distorted FM signals on the shortwave receiver when I plug it in. So, my review is going to be done probably tomorrow on the channel. And what I'll be saying is as simple as this. It's nice for medium wave. It's fun to use. I'll try it on long wave tonight a little bit to try to see if I can bring in something that I don't hear normally. But on shortwave, it's most of the time it's bad. Where it works, it does amplify. For example, I had a few stations on the 31 meter band that were actually better using the loop. There's kind of a sweet spot. There's an area where it works. It does a nice job. But I'd say below 5 megahertz, it's almost unusable. And above 15, 16 megahertz, it becomes unusable again. And it's dreadfully difficult to tune. And even on the medium wave band, although it's less of a problem, trying to find that little spot with the tuning to amplify the signal isn't that easy. So I would say that for most people that want to buy a loop, you're much better off purchasing an MLA30 than purchasing that Texan AN48X. That is the bottom line. The MLA30 beats the crap out of that thing. And plus the MLA30, you don't need to tune it. It's wideband, so it works everywhere. No tuning necessary. And I would say that on the medium wave band, the MLA30 probably performs better, at least as good, if not better than that, without having to tune. And it is directional. Bobby Burgess says, a person in the 50s today might learn how to operate an SDR. Larry Weaver, for the MLA30, I use a broomstick and a small Christmas tree stand. Oh, yeah, that's another idea. A small Christmas tree stand. Absolutely. Callum, why was longwave not used for broadcast in North America and other places around the world? I'm not really sure why a lot of the places around the world did not use long wave. It seems to be really, really in your neck of the woods, Europe, Middle East, part of Africa. But it's not something that was really done here in North America. It was almost only used for non-directional beacons and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know exactly. You know. What else do we have? Scott Branson, have you listened to HF Oceanic Aviation? Yeah, absolutely. I often actually on evenings, sometimes when there's not a lot to do to listen to on the international broadcast bands or the ham bands, I basically have I put it in the aviation frequencies in the 5 megahertz range, and I listen to the different airplanes calling in to Gander or New York on over the Atlantic. It's kind of fun, and you never know what you can hear. Joe, normally the MLA-30 is connected to a mounting pole. Actually, the MLA-30 does not come with anything to mount it. The mounting pole, I use a wooden broomstick here, and have it on that. And so it's a long broomstick. The one that I have is like 6 feet, a little more than 6 feet long, and I put it on that broomstick. René Charbonnier, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Chimali Mr. Bear, something to think about. Those diagonal telephone pole cable that hold up said pole makes a great antenna if you got some way to connect radio to said cable. Huh. Radio TV history. RSPDX has an enhanced reception mode below 2 megahertz. Yep, mainly for medium wave long wave, called HDR, and it does work really well. Very comparable to his ELAD FDM S2. I'm gonna check that out for sure. I have a little more documentation. John from SDR Play actually probably saw me talk about it and post a few things. He sent me a couple of links of more documentation of to use it, and I'll be using everything and trying it out. I've been having a lot of fun. It seems to be a little better also. One of the things I noticed when I use the RSP1A and I actually widened to 10 megahertz for the spectrum, often if it wasn't chosen right, there were like the ends of the waterfall would kind of fall down into darkness and there would be no signals there. It seems to be a little better on the RSPDX on that aspect. It seems to work even better with a 10 megahertz wide waterfall. Joe Rodman is WWV strong in Chicago on his Jupiteru 7100 with collapsible antenna. Cool. Dave Todd says, I get spurious signals below the medium wave band on the 2 Pro. They change frequency if you move the low frequency. Actually have heard W1AW and Brother Stare on long wave. Oh, wow. Yeah, you got to choose that low frequency depending on where you're listening to. Callum says, long wave, medium wave, and short wave is AM. I know me and you, but some people get mixed up. Well, there's different modes because you gotta one of the things you gotta be careful is Joe, the MLA-30 has an SMA connector, SMA. So medium wave, long wave, medium wave, and short wave have different modes actually. Medium wave is the only one that has only AM mode pretty much. But long wave stations are in AM mode, but there's other types of modes there. There's even some digital modes in the long wave band. So you can be using other types of on in between, for example, the long wave stations you listen to, Callum. there are some signals out there that you might want to use, upper sideband to the code or stuff like that. There could be some. There's a little chunks of amateur bands, the 600 meter band and stuff like that you might have, like Morse code and stuff. Medium wave is really AM. Shortwave, well, it's a mixed bag. The international broadcast stations are in AM mode, but amateur and utilities use single sideband for the most part, plus all the digital modes in there. Keegan says, I got a spur of medium wave signals below the band if the preamp is used, if a strong signal. That happens often, and you gotta understand that, like, when you have a lot of very strong medium wave stations around you, or AM stations, there will be, even on good receivers, often spurious signals. Twiggly Bun, do you listen to Voice of the Report of the Week? You broadcast on Shortwave? Absolutely. I listen almost every week. Almost every week. I need to send him a little hello and let him know, because every week he's always saying how he really needs to have people saying hi, because he doesn't know who's listening out there. But I do listen regularly. I actually like Voice of the Report of the Week. It's a nice kind of laid down, casual show. A little bit like, I kind of say sometimes, well, Voice of the Report of the Week is kind of the equivalent of this live show. Just relax and talk about something and enjoy, whatever. But I do I enjoy listening to the Voice of the Report of the Week. PLF Radio, is there a good VHF, UHF indoor antenna for the RSP1A? One of the biggest problems with VHF, UHF is the higher in frequency you go, the more the walls of your home are going to block signals. So it is always better to have an outdoor, but for an indoor antenna, I would use, I'd probably go with some kind of mobile wideband antenna of some sort, and use that. They're not very big, and they would fit in some part of your home. You could put it in a window maybe, but remember that indoors, the higher you'll go in frequency, the more the signals get blocked. And also, depending on, some of us live in homes that are made of concrete, or there's a lot of metal. These are also going to block a lot of the signals. New Ninja says, I like the look of that AN48X antenna. I've just been looking at your videos. May get one. If you want to just have fun with it, I think it's great. I think it's just great. It's fun to play with. For shortwave, like I said, unfortunately, it's close to useless on shortwave. But on medium wave, I'm surprised. It works really well, and it is kind of fun. It does have that kind of nice look to it. Somebody was telling me something that I did, one of the comments on the videos yesterday. The comments are about if you were, so the loop is, of course, maintained in the middle by it's very simple. It's a telescopic antenna that they simply took a telescopic antenna and put two little plastic parts at each end with kind of a little hook shape so that it holds there. And somebody said, I wonder if that telescopic changes the pattern of that antenna. What about if you'd use a wooden stick instead? And I thought, yeah, that's true. That middle part in metal does probably interact somewhat with the loop, for sure. Then again, I would guess that maybe they did think about that. But yeah, I mean, no, it did spark my curiosity, and I did think about it and say, well, maybe I should try it. I should change it with either a piece of plastic or a piece of wood that would have no interaction with the loop itself. See if it changes anything. That's true. Matambale 15140 or Radio Vanna Cuba. Let's check it out here. So I've got WWV on 15 megahertz. I've got a not strong signal, but it's there. You guys, I'm gonna have to check out my W6LVP loop. We were talking about how good in these loops will hold over time and over, the winter and all. Well, I can tell you guys one thing is that my W6LVP loop suddenly doesn't perform well. My MLE30 is going strong, everything's working right, but my W6LVP, because you guys remember the test that I did, they were real close most of the time. They're not anymore. My W6LVP is crappy suddenly, and I don't know why. So it seems like it just doesn't stand well with the weather outside or something. So another rant, basically. It is an expensive antenna. Let's try to, for example, get a strong signal. So I'm gonna get what could I get here? So 2420. So I got Voice of Greece here. So Voice of Greece, S9 plus 10 at peaks. And if I move to the W6LVP, I'm not even getting it. Let me just check if the connections are okay. Oh, there's a problem here. Wait, I'm just going to fix that. Okay, here we go. So, sorry, because it's temporary. So S9, S8, there's a big drop in most signals, and the MLE30 is stronger here. Let's try Cuba again on 15140. I'm gonna go back. So here we go. It's actually so noisy and almost impossible on the W6LVP. And if I go back to the MLE30, much more quiet and okay. Something is fishy with my W6LVP. Well, Radio Vanna Cuba has a very weird distorted sound on 15140. Callum says, I love the video with the wire up to the ceiling. Esteban says 50 megahertz usually will cross the ionosphere, but it will bounce in meteors. Yeah, and sometimes not just meteors. You have the 6 meter band. You have sporadic E-skip that sometimes will propagate 50 megahertz. I've had Brazil on 50 megahertz a couple of years ago, which was amazing. Keegan, DXing medium wave, says on January 22nd, 1150, he heard WHBY in Wyoming and KWKY, Iowa. So cool, really nice. PLF Radio says, I have good reception on the long wave and medium wave bands with the MLE30. I saw this with the RSP1A. Oh, by the way, one of the fun things that I did with the AN48X is I did plug it on my RSPDX. And it's cool because of the waterfall. When I tune that button, when I actually tune it to try to find a frequency where I'm listening, I actually could see the peak moving on the waterfall, which I thought was very cool to see. So on the waterfall here, I could see where actually it's peaked for its tuning, as I turned the button. And I really found that to be cool. Yes, distorted audio, Matambali. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, they play Chariots of Fire quite regularly. Bobby Burgess got it 15140. Joe, that was a question. So a 6-foot pole is needed. Anything else? You need a pole and you need a power supply or some way to supply the power to it. It comes with an USB connector, so you can use a telephone. I use an old iPhone little white cube, but I've plugged it into my Samsung charger, and it's cool because you can plug it into a battery pack. So for portable operation, you can use a battery pack that comes that you use, for example, for your that you use for your charging your phone when you're away, stuff like that. It works actually quite well, and it doesn't need to be just 5 volts. It actually, the ML830 is capable of anywhere from 4 to 14 volts. So you can power it in other ways if you want. But you will need a pole to put it up, and you will need a power adapter to give it power. All the rest is there. The cable with SMA connector. The cable is quite long. In most circumstances, the cable that comes with it is long enough from the outside of your home to inside to your radio. If you don't have SMA connectors on your radios, you'll need adapters. So, for example, I have the adapters for my ICOM and for the Yaesu here, which is the SMA to PL259 connector. Matthew Wells, I still have here two old black and white portable TVs that have AM FM radios on them. Keegan saw a tube TV with a tuner FM band at a thrift store once. Actually, one of those small black and white TVs that doesn't receive anything anymore because everything has gone digital. I had purchased in the States when I went to the States in early 90s. I had purchased that at I think it was at a Radio Shack store or something when I was in, I believe I was in Massachusetts at the time. And going down, or maybe Virginia. No, we went down to Virginia that time. And I think I purchased it in a store in Virginia. Because I wasn't the one driving, and I was getting I had an idea, because it was cheap. It was like $30, and I had a funky idea of wow, that could be kind of cool. That as we are going back up to Canada, that I use it in the car while I'm sitting in the back and try to see all the TV stations that I would pick up on the road as we're heading back to Canada. Still have it, and it has RCA connectors in the back. And last time I used it, I plugged my Amiga on it to have a picture of a game or a demo or something, and see if it still works fine. It's just that, there's not much to do with that anymore. Mitch, nice to have you here from Buckeye, Arizona. Bill Clot, nice to have you here, my friend. And by the way, I am about 10 minutes in late in the chat, so I'm coming back down slowly. They've taught carrier with weak modulation on 6925. Let's check that out. 6925. Anything here on 6925? I've got nothing much. Nothing much right now on 6925. Ronald Claus, does anybody know if I change the wire that comes with the MLA30 to a copper wire, would that detune the antenna? Well, the idea behind it is it was probably designed for the size. It's the important thing is the size and not the metal used. So if you use the metal, a copper, and if you actually put it the same size, it technically should work okay. I don't think changing the type of metal is going to detune it. It's really the size. Michael B says, you know, one of my dream is to hear this live show on the shortwaves. Anyway, even when I'm on a business trip with you, I'm with you. All the best to you. Nice to have you on board from Krakow, Poland. And you know what? I've been on shortwave a few times. There are some pirates that were actually rebroadcasting my audio a couple of times, which was kind of nice. Maybe I should ask if any pirates are watching and at some point want to rebroadcast the audio again. Why not? Radio TV History's got the BBC English 12095 on his, from Ascension Islands S7 on his RSPDX. Newscape channel, DRM Digital Radio Mondial is getting going at last. It can use AM channel spacing and introduces new options. Word Googling for recent news. Already big in India. I think for local broadcasting, that could be an interesting idea. I think where DRM missed its point is trying to push it towards shortwave, which is bad. Shortwave is not the good medium for DRM. But using it for local broadcasting. One other idea that I've seen a few countries, including France, try out is using 25 megahertz, 26 megahertz for local DRM broadcasts. So that could be an interesting idea. Matambali says, my MLA30 has become recently noisier. Not sure if new source or if I need to re-aim the null a bit. Pointing that null makes a big difference here. It could be new noise sources. Mine is noisier this winter, but when it's cold, there's a lot more power being used. Plus, there was the Christmas lights and stuff. I suspect that all of that together, people are more indoors, and so there's one thing that happens from time to time. I'm trying to find out where that could be. It doesn't happen often, but from time to time, I start having these waves of interference that look like some kind of FM breakthrough, but it's everywhere. I see it everywhere on the waterfall. It's like spaced at every, 100 kilohertz or 150 kilohertz. It's driving me nuts when that happens. It makes reception of stations almost impossible. It never lasts very long, but when it does, it's bad. So I'm wondering if somebody somewhere is not using some device that creates that, because it's not there very often, but it's there regularly. Kevin J. Napalo, nice to have you here. WS2H. C-Crane Radio has repaired my C-Crane shortwave radio. Thought it was dead, but they restored it for me. Good customer service. Cool. PLF radio. Yeah, the W6LVP loop is suddenly degraded in reception, PLF radio. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, Callum, I know this is earlier for you. The other one is late. The other one, that's the idea behind the two shows. The Wednesday show is trying to get a different audience, maybe a little more people from North America. That's why we got two different times. Bullfrog89, nice to have you here. KD2CXU, checking in from Albany, New York. Yeah, been a few weeks. I'm doing pretty well, my friend. Wisconsin. Sorry, Keegan. I'm getting mixed up sometimes with these abbreviations of states. So, what else do we have? Let's go down. Jerry Agnew, nice to have you here from Northern Ireland. Pilar Fredia says, I noticed some with the MLA30 on medium wave. The antenna is directional. You have to turn it towards the medium wave station to have better reception. Page Master, I will let you know on the extra class test, which takes place tomorrow. However, I must go through the federal general test first. 2 written tests tomorrow. Good luck, my friend. Good luck. I know you're gonna do it. You'll be okay. R9WFT. I have no idea what you're saying. PLF Radio, the plan formed by the loop of the MLA30 has to be in the direction of the medium wave station. No, like I said on shortwave, the direction, and I've done a lot of tests. The MLA30, honestly, for if you're wondering should you get a rotor or not with it, it's very simple. The question comes from depends what you're listening to. If you're listening to shortwave only, no, there's very little difference in turning the loop. I tested that pretty well. And there's really little difference except for stations that are really close. For example, CHU time station here, I couldn't null CHU on 3330, but it's 100 miles away. I mean, I'm getting the ground wave probably most of the time. But I listen to Voice of Turkey and to Voice of America and from even WRMI. When I turn the antenna, there's a slight change in the S meter, but it's not big enough to have much consequence. And the actual install, most of the people that talk about loops actually tell you, just install it to have the lowest noise and leave it like that. But if you listen to medium wave or long wave, yeah, now you'll want to have a rotor because you'll want to turn that loop for its directional capabilities. Kimberly says, I almost worked New Zealand on 6 meters a few years ago at a single sideband. Wow. Chile as well. Nice. Antambali says, of the 3 Apple chargers in the house, one of them is a broadcaster. The other 2 are fairly quiet. I ended up using a spare port on the USB hub for the bias T. Very, very quiet supply on that hub. Cool. Because that's one thing that I wanted to do a test. I need to do it. I guess that would be probably very, very... that would be very, very... nice to test it out. At the dollar store here, they got like 10 different power supplies for funds. Like they're really cheap, like $2, $3, $4. The other day, I almost purchased one of every power supply and test them out, plugged in, powering the MLA30 to see if they induce noise to it. Right now, the one I have, which is the little cube for my old iPhone 5, seems to be extremely quiet. It doesn't make noise. So, cool, Joe. And you've got SMA, many extra connections. Cool. Cool. You're doing fine, Callum. Always nice to have you here, and you know what? It's got to take it easy. We're all happy to see you here, Callum. All happy. What else do we have? I'm just going down slowly. D-Raf, nice to have you here from Kingston, New York. Matt is home briefly. Nice to have you here from Colorado. No problem. Matambali, WJHR in Milton, Florida. Let's check it out here. 15555. Usually comes in well here. Yep, pretty good. Pretty good signal from WJHR in Milton, Florida. In upper sideband, 15555. I still wonder if anybody except us that we tune in from time to time actually listen to that station. Rufus Newt says, since we got snow here, my MLA30 and wire are both noisier. Yeah, that means there's, the snow and the contacts and the rain and the stuff that happens probably do degrade somewhat, make noise and do all sorts of things and interactions. Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you here. Esteban says that is... I've lost Esteban. Let me just try to get back. There we go. Thinking on playing a computer game, watching it in a tube TV. I see some of a nostalgia in that. I am close to try to recover my old programs for an Amstrad computer, where I began to program. Yeah, there is definitely a nostalgia in that. I threw away my old Sony 26-inch because it was huge and impossible to. It took so much space, but it still worked great. And I still have this little moment where I'm thinking, well, I shouldn't have thrown it away. It worked well with the Amiga and the Atari. But at some point you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna. Of course nobody wants it. I put it outside with the remote control with a note saying works perfectly well. Of course, nobody wants that. These big old tube TVs, the CRTs from the time. And it was dreadfully, dreadfully heavy. It was crazy. James Power, it's nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. KC1ENJ, good afternoon. Dave Tot, yeah. Bullfrog89, did you see the video about static buildup of an antenna that I shared to the Facebook group? Might be something to be conscious of. No, I haven't checked it out yet. I'm going to check it out for sure. I haven't done a lot or looked at much of the Facebook group lately. In the past 2 days, I've been really busy. I'm going to check that out and kind of brush up on all the videos and all the stuff you guys posted later today. Rodelvis65, nice to have you here from New York City. Simon Smith, nice to have you here. Any good guys? Just got one in the post today. A Medium Wave HF VHF SDR antenna. And they are pretty good. Clark Gilson, nice to have you here, says, does anybody use a rotor with their MLA30? Matambali says, at this QTH, I need to steer it differently below 5, below 10, and then another angle for frequencies above 12 and 13 or so. Large difference in noise. Wow. Callum says, I know, Joe, this is why these two show for different people. It is a good idea. So he misses the Saturday show, but this works better. Cool. Keegan says his dad, W9JEF, contacted Australia in the mid-2000s. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Matambale says, I have been tempted to buy a whole mess of those 5-volt adapters. Daniel Bashner, nice to have you here. Talked from Boston to Italy on CB Radio. 38 lower sideband on a Cobra 2000 in a Mako 3-element. Was awesome. That's cool. That's always impressive. Always impressive. Really, really cool. We'll talk a little bit about something here, because don't forget, guys, for those that would like to join in, there's the Shortwave Festival coming up. February 27th to 29th is the Shortwave Fest in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. So if anybody wants to go there, you got to start planning ahead. I'll post the link here in the description below the video where you can get all the details. Of course, there will be people there presenting all sorts of different lectures and stuff. And of course, it's a great place to meet a lot of people that are passionate about the hobby. And unfortunately, I cannot go for personal reasons, but I would love to go there. That's for sure. And hopefully I'll make it at some point. So I know Sheldon's going, and it's a great, it's a great place to be for anybody that loves radio and just wants to share with others, and do a little trip at the same time. So it will be at the DoubleTree Guest Suites, Philadelphia West, in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. The Winter Shortwave Fest is a conference of radio hobbyists of all stripes, from DC to daylight. Every year, scores of hobbyists descend on the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania suburbs for a weekend of camaraderie. The fest is sponsored by NASWA, the Shortwave Club, the North American Shortwave Association. But it covers much more than just shortwave, medium wave, scanning, satellite TV, pirate broadcasting are among other topics. And whether you've been to every fest or all 32 or not, you know what? This is a great place to be. So it's the 33rd annual Winter Shortwave Fest that's happening. So, of course, there's a banquet, and you can check that out. There's conferences. There's all sorts of things happening there. You have an online registration form. You have all the details on the website that I just posted. If you want to do a little trip and have fun, why not check it out? What else do we have? We have also, as I'm doing a little promotion of different things, CIDX, which is the Canadian International DX Club, which is a very, very nice club with a bulletin that is the messenger every month, an electronic publication, and it's cool to check out. If you haven't asked, you can actually go and ask Sheldon for a sample copy. There's the website. So it's a CIDXclub at Yahoo. Well, actually, I'll give you guys the link to the CIDX website, which will be even better because you'll have more details and you'll do everything from there. So CIDX. And here goes. CIDX.ca is the website. And you'll have all the details. You can ask Sheldon for a sample copy of the bulletin if you want. And this is, of course, really, really cool. You can ask, of course, CIDXclub at yahoo.com, which is the email where you can ask for a sample copy. So I'll put the email, and I'll also put the CIDX website, simple website, but all the details are there. So if you never ask for a sample copy, you can There's different things in there. I have the utility column that I actually have every month. And it's not just for Canadians, it's for everybody. Tons of information about radio, from shortwave, longwave, medium wave, pirates, ham radio stuff, and so on. So check it out. It's really nice. It's $10 for 1 year, $25 for 3 years, and it's really, really nice and totally worth it. So that also. Don't forget also that we have a show, me and Sheldon and David. We have a show called the International Radio Report. It's every Sunday, 15:30 UTC. That's 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And it's on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. And of course, you can listen to it via the web on ckut.ca. And hope that you enjoy the show. We talked for 30 minutes of anything happening in the local and international radio scene of all sorts of news items. So ckut.ca. You can also look at different apps like Radio Garden. There's all sorts of apps out there that you can actually just search for CKUT 90.3 FM and add it as your favorites and listen through an app. If, of course, you're not local in Montreal. If you're in Montreal area, you can tune it on your radio on FM at 90.3. But for most of you, and there's an archive of the last 3 months of the show. So if you go to ckut.ca, at the top you'll see there's archive. Click there and choose International Radio Report. You'll be able to listen to the last 3 months of shows. So if you never heard the show and want to see what it is all about, you can of course listen to last Sunday's show if you want, or the past 3 months. And I'm happy to be part of the International Radio Report with Sheldon Harvey. And so that was kind of the quick promotion of different little things here. What else do we have? D-Raf just got his Ratty Wow and paid $43 total with tax and free shipping. Cool. You're going to love it. It's a nice little radio. Keegan has 11635 HM01, the Cuban Lady. Okay, so you got it from Amazon. Cool. Bullfrog says, it's nice to see the active watching number stay above 100. I remember when it would be exciting to get 100 for a short time. Yeah, we're pretty much always above 100. Even after 3-4 hours, we do shows that are very long sometimes. It now kind of pretty much stays above 100 all the time. And what was the number to beat? 200 and we reached 206 or something like that at one point. So that was kind of cool also. Pretty cool. Matambali 11720 Voice of America with a big signal. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Rufus Newt gave up his first color TV and his last purge. Oh yeah, the old CRTs they did use a lot of electricity. One of the things about old CRTs though is if you have old game consoles, the games look better on those than with the modern TVs. Dave Belisle, nice to have you here. WA1UJA from New Hampshire. Good afternoon. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. Rufus Newt says, repaired TVs in high school, helped pay for his college tuition. Cool. Esteban says, it seems to me that LED lamps may be a source of RF noise. Do you think so? Some do, yes. That's why I carefully choose what I buy. So I have Philips bulbs here, and they are a little more expensive, but they are the bulbs that I choose because they don't emit any noise. I haven't seen any noise nowhere regarding those, but there are some out there that actually do some kind of white noise across the shortwave spectrum, You got to be very, very careful if you buy any lighting fixture today, what you are actually buying, because some LED lamps, some of the neon stuff, fluorescents, some of them are really, really noisy. You got to be careful which one you choose, because they're not all noisy. You got to choose a brand. If you don't know what to buy, what I did is I actually purchased like 4 or 5 different brands, and I test them all with a portable radio nearby, and chose the one that had the least amount of noise coming out of them. And just to make sure that I have, I'm okay for a while. When I chose the Philips lighting and saw that they were very quiet, I purchased. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lighting systems. Plus my main lighting in the home is now LED, because it does save a lot of power compared to the incandescents. So what I did is I purchased a ton of them, and so I think I got like 15 of them in the just waiting to be used someday, because I know they are going to be very, very quiet. Esteban says it's if not RF, at least the noise is finally heard in the receiver. Yeah, you got to be careful. Trugzorgsvin, nice to have you here, my friend from Southwest Colorado. Yeah, Multi-PSK had an update. Absolutely. So, what else do we have? No problem with the links. Cool. Even if it's... Multi-PSK is a very nice package for decoding all sorts of things, absolutely. Jean-Marc Letz, I've posted a link to a virtual Austrian QSL museum with 50,000 QSLs in the database on a Facebook group. Oh, I'm going to check that out. I love watching QSLs online from different sources, and sometimes it's AM radio operators that have some, or shortwave listeners. It's kind of cool. Keegan, listen to the show in the archives on ckut.ca. Cool. Bobby Burgess, what's been going on with World Radio Network? For some reason, the TuneIn stream won't load. I don't know. I haven't listened to the World Radio Network for some time. I haven't. Let me just check it out here. I'm gonna actually see if I can hear it. So I have my app that I use for streaming. So you say you're what? You're using TuneIn? Okay, let me try it out here. TuneIn. So I'm gonna bring up TuneIn, and I'm going to. So for those that don't know what the World Radio Network is, it's an online stream of many shortwave broadcasters. Okay, World Radio Network. Let's check it out. So, World Radio Network, WRN. And here is World Radio Network in English. It says opening. Well, that's interesting, because is that what it does for you? It says opening, but it never goes through. So this one is to Africa. Let's try the first one here. World Radio Network in English. Oh, this one does work. The one for Europe works. Yeah, there's an ad. Let me just check it out here. But the one, World Radio Network, WRN in English to Europe, seems to be working. Yeah. I got an air miles card. Okay, here we go. So, opening. Yeah, it's Democracy Now! Playing right now. So I got it if you got the stream for Europe. And that's pretty much it. So it works with that here. But the one in Africa didn't work, though. But they have less streams than they used to. I used to have several streams, different streams, even the French language one on my Sanjian internet radio, and would listen to that sometimes. And a lot of those streams have stopped. They seem to be kind of a financial problem or something. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Keegan says maybe I will hear CKUT via Escape this summer. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Rufus Newt, don't forget to check out and join the Facebook page. Join in where the conversation goes on. Yeah, I'm going to post a link here. Facebook page is also a nice. Thanks for reminding me. I was forgetting to promote my own stuff after that. So the Facebook group is a really, really nice group. It is the place that you can share with others. It's there's a lot of stuff going on. People are really having a lot of fun there, posting their loggings and all the information of shortwave stuff, links to articles, to websites. Here we go. I'm going to post the link to the Facebook page. It has the same name as the channel here, official SWL channel, and it's really, really a lot of fun to check out throughout the week when the live shows. Here we interact together with the chat, but the Facebook group is fun because there's interaction going on after we stop here. People share and it's a lot of fun to check out and see what people are listening to. And I often, when I listen actively to shortwave on in the daytime or nighttime, I will often post what I'm listening to, so that some of you out there could see what I'm listening and try it out. And also, sometimes people post stuff, and it's a lot of fun to be, and so you can join in. Don't forget to actually answer the questions, because there are questions to answer here, and it's very, very important to answer them if you want to get in. So we are approving Julie Mirabel. Approved. And nice to have all of you here. It's kind of cool. We're at 400 and let me just check it out here. 409 members right now, and continues to grow. Actually, it's a lot of fun to check out, and people post all the time. Anything else here? David Jones now that asked. We'll wait for those questions to be answered, but and don't forget to moderators that the questions sometimes take up to half an hour to be answered sometimes, so just give them time before we say no. Sometimes what I do, also one of the little tricks that I use, if you're a moderator and you're not sure, sometimes I will look at, first of all, the date that they joined Facebook, so if they've been on Facebook for a long time. And I will look at what other groups they are members of. I've actually approved a few people that didn't answer the questions, but they were part of many radio groups. So I thought, well, they're part of other groups, so that's radio related. So I guess they must love radio in some way. So I've approved some sometimes that didn't answer the questions, but that actually were in other radio groups. Mad Reader DXer says, I use a scanline generator for my old consoles in Amiga when connected to my HDTV. Works great. Oh, really? I'll check it out. What I like, there's one thing that I do like about the modern TVs, though, and that's fun because the old CRTs, they were either NTSC for North America, or they were PAL for Europe. And that created a huge problem with a computer like the Amiga, for example, that has games that triggers. So for the Amiga 500, it can actually trigger PAL or NTSC in the computer. So on a CRT, it would make the screen flip all the time, which was so you couldn't use it. On these actually do all of the modes, so they actually adjusts automatically to whatever the output is. Yeah, the FLDG is a better user interface. That's for sure. But multi-PSK does more stuff. I'm not sure it's volunteers for multi-PSK. Honestly, I think I don't think they're volunteers. FLDG is fun also because some people have other platforms. So FLDG works, if you're on Linux, if you're on a Mac, or on Windows. That's the cool part of FLDG also, multi-platform. Keegan says, I had an Osram bulb once, no noise on AM, but went dim after a while. Yeah, they're much better today because the first LED bulbs dimmed quite fast, but now they are much, much better, and they have an assortment of what they call the temperature of the light, which is kind of the color of the light, if you want. So now they have some that actually, because one of the things that a lot of people didn't like is the fact that the first LEDs were all very white, bluish white. But now you've got some that have the same kind of yellowish color that the incandescent bulbs have. So it gives you the same feel. And I mean, they take so little energy to make the same amount of light. It's crazy. When I purchased these and replaced all of the bulbs in my house from incandescent so I had 60 watts incandescents almost everywhere. I replaced them with the LED bulbs that give an equivalent of a 60 watt bulb, but they use 13 watts, something like that. I saw a difference in my electric bill after when they renewed every year. They renewed the amount. I saw a difference. It really showed that it takes less energy. Hal Mesam, nice to have you here. My second monitor sure throws out spikes all over the place. Yeah, a lot of monitors actually do. I had an old Acer monitor here that when it was on and it was very bright white on the screen, it would actually create tons of kind of a buzzing sound all over the shortwave spectrum. Rufus Newt, LEDs have inverter transformers, very noisy, but not all. Some of them are good, but no, absolutely. Take care, Matt, and hopefully we'll still be on at 23 UT. Bobby Burgess thinks he needs to ferrite choke his TV in the room. Ame Sam has Spanish number station 11635. Yeah, the video was shot in, absolutely. It's an interesting video, the high voltage created from falling snow. So, PLF Radio says, news about the new Texan receivers. So anything new here? Yeah. Well, that's yeah, that's what we were talking about last time. There's no real new info in here. Eventually they'll be available, I guess. Recray, nice to have you on board from Turkey. PLF Radio, what do you think about external FM antenna for tablets and phones? Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, most of them use your earbuds as FM antennas. I don't know. Hey, Tim Robinson, nice to have you here. How are you, my friend? Hope everything is all right. What else do we have? Ingmar Klenhart, nice to have you on board from Germany. Pretty cool. Nice to see everybody here. So everything is going well, Tim Robinson. I can't complain much here. Everything is going pretty well. Pyro90 says, Waves, I'm still alive, just listening to All India Radio on 7550 and DRM mode. Cool. Spiky Costello says, loves the Sanjian 909X, but hate the tuning dial. Madrider DXer says, I agree, apart from my Amiga, my consoles are from the NTSC region, as 60 Hz games play faster and better within the PAL versions. Yeah. Bobby Burgess says, multi-PSK will work in Wine if you're a Linux user. Yeah, the first compact fluorescents were weird. They weren't very, very nice. Rufus Newt says, cool, we are all LED here, warm white. Well, maybe, Tim, I said 13, but I think maybe 13 is for the one that's 100 watt equivalent. It could be only 5 or 6 watts. So that's possible. That's totally possible. But still, it takes a lot less power. Yeah, they were. Remember, I had quite a few compact fluorescents that actually kind of almost exploded in my face over the time, and I thought these were kind of almost dangerous or something. I got nothing more to drink. Should I get something else to drink, guys? 6955. Let's check it out. Apparently, there's a pirate there. A really big buzz on 6935. Nothing much here. I do have the 6501 Chesapeake, Virginia weather. 6501. Upper sideband. David in Barcelona. Nice to have you on board, my friend. David Provo. Nice to have you on board from Lakewood Ranch, Florida. Jeff Barrett, 6955, upper sideband. Shane Green, nice to have you here from Utah. Do you have a Kenwood T1000 in your collection? Nope. The only Kenwood I owned was the Kenwood R5000. Madrid DXer, get something else to drink, but take it easy with the alcohol. So I'm going to leave you in the soothing sounds and soothing voice of the Virginia weather on 6501, and we'll go and make myself another vodka, 7-Up, and cranberry juice. So back in 2 minutes. Also, at the same time, if you like what I do, guys, remember that it's an operation that takes a lot of my time. I'm happy to be here. It's fun, but it also has some cost going with it. So you can send me a little something through PayPal at the Yahoo email that you see here, or at paypal.me/shortwave. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers, and of course set up a little something every month. So thanks so much for everything, guys. It's always appreciated. Thanks for those that donated. If you never donated before, why not think about it? It could be the time to do so. And I am back in a few minutes, going to get myself a little something to drink, and I'll be back.
Individual waves may be more than twice the significant wave height. Synopsis for Caribbean Sea and tropical North Atlantic from 07 north, 219 north, between 55 west and 64 west. Synopsis. A weakening stationary front from just southeast of Miami, GADA passage to near 15 north, 70 west, will gradually dissipate tonight. Benign marine conditions will prevail the rest of the forecast period as a weak pressure gradient dominates the area. Northwest Caribbean west of 85 west. Tonight. Northeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 feet. Saturday. Northeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 3 feet in the morning, subsiding to 2 feet or less. Saturday night. Northeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Sunday. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Sunday night. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 3 feet. Monday. South winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Monday night. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Tuesday. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Tuesday night. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Wednesday. Southeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Wednesday night. East winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 2 feet or less, building to 3 feet after midnight. Caribbean north of 15 north, between 72 west and 85 west. Tonight. Northeast winds 10 to 15 knots south of 18 north and northwest and 10 knots elsewhere. Seas 2 feet or less. Saturday. Northeast winds less than 10 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Saturday night. Northeast winds less than 10 knots south of 18 north and northeast 10 to 15 knots elsewhere. Seas 2 feet or less. Sunday. South of 18 north, east winds less than 10 knots. Elsewhere, northeast winds 10 to 15 knots, shifting to east in the afternoon.
There we go.
Seas 2 feet or less.
And we are back.
Sunday night.
Mr. Paul the Cat wanted to have some food because he's not big enough. So we are back. Nice to be here. So cheers, everyone. Joey D, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Jeff Barrett says 6501, very good in Cincinnati. Callum, I probably did answer your question. Tim Robinson, drinking Old Peculiar here. Real ale at 5.6%. Cool. Larry P, have a little moonshine. Matambale, 6501, inaudible. Rufus Newt, compact fluorescence. Let me just go here. Also draw about 10 times the nominal current draw for a few milliseconds at power up. This is enough to carbonize contacts on a switch. Amazing sight. Oh, really? I didn't know that. So at the so when you flick that switch, it really like takes a lot of power for a few seconds. Huh. Interesting. Jerry Agnew, 6501 upper sideband loud and clear in Northern Ireland. Cool. Anton Valley says 6501 Chesapeake poking through the noise. Trug Zorgvin says, anyone have a reception report for a recent broadcast of Full Gospel Hour with Terry Bladlock, sometimes called the Screaming Preacher, on 9955 7780 18. I've not heard the Screaming Preacher in a while, I gotta say. Esteban, it's a maritime broadcast. It does sound like a vomit somewhat, but it's a weather forecast for boats. So it's really maritime broadcasts and for the Atlantic Ocean coast and so on. It's from the U.S. Coast Guard in Chesapeake, Virginia. Keegan says, and the compact fluorescence would take some time to reach normal brightness upon startup. Yeah, that also was kind of annoying. You know, you would flip on and it would be like, it's kind of dark. It'd take 5 minutes before it gets full power. And you could not put those here outside in the winter because they would not light up at all. Oh, man. What else do we have? Well, I hope, Matambali, that I'm not in your driveway when you do that. Rufus News says, I could tell Paul was starving. Spiky Costello, great sound from your mic. Thank you. It is I love this microphone. Not very expensive and really nice sounding microphone. Absolutely. Mark Elford, having tea. Perfect. Take care, PLF Radio. À la prochaine. And don't forget, guys, we are here twice a week. On Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. On Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 20 UTC. And we talk about radio in general. And we have fun, of course, with all of this. Jeff Barrett says we have some compact fluorescents in our garage. If it is very cold, it takes a while for them to get bright. Unfortunately, they came with the house, and it is like 10-foot ceiling in our garage. Yeah, kind of tough to go and remove that. Crazy. Almay Sound, 6501 upper sideband, Central Ohio. Good. Cool. Thundercat 1. You have, over the years, not helped my radio addiction hobby, so we studied and passed our ham technician test And thank you for all the tips and hints. Really gave me a leg up when I tested. Cool. And congratulations. I'm here for that. That's what I want, to help out. To help out. It could be called Marmot instead of Vomit. Yeah, why not? Take care, Tim. It was nice to see you on the chat, and hope you are well, my friend. Always nice to see everybody here. Esteban says, that's very interesting. What frequencies are used for maritime weather broadcasts? Here is... So if you look at the EIBI space.de schedule list, they're pretty much all listed there. But here is marine weather broadcast. And here is U.S. Coast Guard, from the U.S. Coast Guard. Here is the so here this page got weather.gov page has got the schedules for radio fax transmissions from the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard SITOR or AMTOR, where you can decode weather information. You've got the HF voice ones. This is an example of an HF voice from Chesapeake, Virginia. So several, you'll have all the frequencies in here. So check it out on this here. And you'll have all the information where you can... Sheldon just sent Tom Daly a sample copy of CIDX Messenger. Cool. Hope you become a member. Rob says, I am an optimist and like how you are too, Joe. Everyone here and on the Facebook group. Yeah, we're here. You know, we gotta do our best and try to look forward in our hobby, you know? I'm not the kind of guy, I get this all the time. And, hey, Brian, nice to have you here. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I get that all the time of people saying, you know, oh, well, you know, I got it. I have enough. There's less and less broadcasts on shortwave. And, I mean, there's not going to be anything left in a few years from now and so on. And I always say that, you know, I never want to talk about shortwave radio in that way or in a negative way. There's always something there. We got to deal with the fact that we have what we have. We can't invent anything. We can't invent a broadcast. We have what we have. There's still a lot on shortwave, a lot more than people think. And actually, the biggest reason why a lot of people are complaining there's no more to listen to really is noise. Because when you go down, there was one guy that came here for a while in the chat room. And I haven't seen him in a long time. But he was always saying, you know, there's nothing. I got that radio. I purchased a radio because of you. And there's nothing, and really nothing except preachers and religious stuff. And I said, well, maybe you have too much noise. And you know what? The guy thought that, no, there was nothing and that's it. He was kind of in that mode where, no, what I hear must be the only thing that exists on shortwave. And one day, I got an email from him. And he said, okay, I want to apologize. I kind of was a little hard on you, saying there's nothing on shortwave. But I went out camping, and I decided to bring the radio with me. Was sure I was not going to hear anything more. And he said, just with the telescopic on the radio, in the middle of the forest where noise was really low, of course, he said, I started hearing tons of things. And when I came back home, I couldn't hear them anymore. And I understood what you meant by, oh, there's a lot of noise around where I live. And he said, you're right. There's still quite a lot to listen to. It's just washed out for the most part because of our noise levels, unfortunately. You know? Roughest Newt, I'm not sure how much longer I can be chatting with everyone. I want to buy all the stuff, but my wallet only goes so far. Yeah, but that's all, we are all in the same boat with that. We are all in the same, got to make choice what we buy, what we don't buy. My next purchase would probably be right now. I'm going to keep all those donations that you guys are sending me, and what I was thinking of is when production goes on the Texan PL 990 or H501. I know they probably going to be like close to 300 Canadian dollars in all, but I might actually purchase one for review purposes. I've been thinking of how to use your donations plus this channel's monetization in some way for getting a little more stuff. So in 2020, I plan to buy more stuff to actually make reviews for radio purposes. So that's where the Texan AN48X is. I used some of your donations, plus I paid from my pocket. There's the Reticus TR receiver that's coming in the mail. That's also because I want to try to increase the output of things that I review. Of course, there's always that possibility. Some people, I don't talk about it much, but some people out there don't like to give money, and but they are okay in helping out in some other form. And of course, some of you are in that mode. I'll help out by, okay, how about I send you a radio? And of course, that is totally acceptable. If anybody out there wants to send me a radio because you don't want to send money, it's perfect. Perfect. You want to buy a radio? Do you want me to test it? Because a lot of you actually like the way that I talk and test the radios and my honest opinion on them. So, I mean, I got a big rant on the way that I talked about the ICOM ICR30 the other day through email. To be fair, I'm happy to own the ICOM ICR30. I'm really, really happy, and thanks again to Kevin for sending me an ICOM ICR30. It's amazingly nice, and I'm having fun. Tonight I'm going to listen to the D-Star Canada Net on UHF. But it has, where I wanted to go to on Wednesday when I talked about it was it has unfortunately some design flaws that it is sad. It's sad to see that unfortunately that's what's happening. But I'm still happy to own it. And I mean, I was decoding. I actually decoded my first P25 Phase 1 stuff yesterday. And I'm continuing to learn how to use it. And I mean, when I go out and I want to have a VHF, UHF receiver with me, or the ICOM ICR30 is my new friend. I will bring that along with me at Perry Island. You guys have seen probably when I would go to Perry Island, I would actually bring along the ICOM ICR20. I would always have the R20 with me, along with my shortwave receivers, because I like to listen to VHF, UHF comms at the same time, see what I can hear and what I can get. Well, this summer, Perry Island, the expeditions will have three things. We'll have a shortwave radio. We'll have an MLA30 loop rather than a wire. And we'll have the ICOM ICR30. Actually, I'm buying a new bike because I want to keep in shape. And I actually looked online for a bike stand so that I could put the ICOM ICR30 on my bike and have it, tune around stuff while I'm actually going to Perry Island or whatever. So all of that. So I gotta be fair. I mean, it has its big flaws that I find really sad for such a radio. I do understand that for the price paid, the problem is, for the price paid, of course, it does so much that they had to cut the quality of some of the stuff on it. It's the same thing for the R20. I was happy to get my R20 when I purchased it. My R20 came at $570 when I purchased it in 2000 and I don't know. I don't even remember when I got the R20, like 2012, something like that. I was happy with it. It had flaws. It had overloading problems. But you learn to master the radio. You learn to use it with its flaws. But the reason I did rant on it is because I wanted to warn everybody and make sure everybody understands one thing. If you get an ICR30, you will actually see that it has many design flaws. And I wanted to make sure that you don't get or purchase that if you are in a certain environment. If you're in a big city, the R30 has a lot of difficulty coping with signals here, which is sad. And the two radios inside are not the same quality. One is deaf compared to the other. It's all little things that, you look at it and you kind of, it could be enough to make that experience bad. And I ranted on the ICOM ICR30 so that if you do decide to purchase one and have watched and listened to what I have to say, that you already know what you're going to get. And I know some people are going to stay away from it because of what I said. And you know what? I cannot. I told you guys, I don't want to lie on the radio. I cannot lie on the radio. I got somebody that has one that actually wrote me saying, well, how dare you say that radio isn't that great on VHF, UHF? Look, man, if you live in the middle of a forest or in a very small city with nothing around you much and signals, it probably is great because it doesn't overload in that situation. Put yourself in a big city like here, and you suddenly have a radio that is, there's tons and tons of signals around here. Some of them very strong. It has a hard time now to cope with that. So it might actually work better in a certain situation of somebody living in a rural area. In a rural area, it might actually work perfectly well because it doesn't overload from all the signals. So it actually, you might have a better experience than I have with the same radio. It's like a portable receiver. I got FM breakthrough on some of them. I remember when I posted my review of the Tivdio V115, somebody said, well, I don't get FM breakthrough everywhere like you do. Yeah, because you don't live in an environment like I do. It's obvious, because here, the radios I have, they are really put to the test. The FM station breakthrough, if a radio has FM station breakthrough problems, forget it. Here it's going to be useless because it's going to be overloaded totally. And I've got some here that are useless because of that. But I want to be honest in my opinion of what I think. But that said, I am happy to own one and I will use it. That's for sure. It's not going to stay on the shelf. It is going to be used. And over time, possibly I'll learn to deal with its flaws by, using it in a different way. Also. Speaking Costello, do you use your Yaesu 450D? Yeah, regularly. It's not plugged in right now, but regularly I put the W6 LVP loop on it regularly, and often I have it running at the same time as the SDR, and listen to two different things. It's a nice radio, absolutely. So now that I talked and ranted, let's go down. And I'm actually 15 minutes behind in the chat room, guys. So I'm coming now. Johnny DXer, nice to have you here. W3JMC. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you here from Alberta. Brian, Petersburg, Virginia. Cool. Nice to have you here, Brian. Ron Hicks, nice to have you here. KM4LDI, wrote 11 handwritten reception reports today. Just waiting on stamps I ordered. I got a QSL card today from CFRX. Cool. WOHB was the online magazine I talked in December. I want to subscribe and forgot the name. Spectrum Monitor. It's the Spectrum Monitor. It's a great magazine. If you are... I'm just going to post a link here. Spectrum Monitor. So if you ever had a copy of Monitoring Times, the Spectrum Monitor is the equivalent of Monitoring Times. Totally, and actually a lot of the editors from Monitoring Times are there. So the Spectrum Monitor is their webpage. I subscribe because it's really, really neat. Really love reading it every month. Lots of great information. And this month is the time to subscribe because they have this weird way of having to subscribe in January for having the full year. So you can't subscribe like in August, because if you subscribe in August, you'll get the year that you're in, including the January of the same year. You're not going to get, from August to July. So now's the time because you're getting this full year of magazine. Dave Todd, you need to decode the U.S. Coast Guard because you can't understand their HFSSB transmissions. Yeah, Dave. They're getting worse. I mean, this week there was one night that I heard, I think it was 4426, that I heard it was so distorted, it was like, oh, man. James Farley, nice to have you on board from Old Bridge, New Jersey. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Marcos Polizzelli, nice to have you on board. If possible, try 6180 Radio Nacional de Amazonas. It is transmitting very strongly at the moment. Nice, Marcos. Let's check it out, 6180. And here it is. Pretty good signal. Pretty good signal. 6180 in Portuguese. Radio Nacional de Amazonas, Brazil. Very good signal here. Matambale says it's not so much there's less on shortwave. There's surely a lot of more noise now. That's the thing. There is less than there was before, but I mean, come on. Larry P. Will an MLA30 work with an ICR75? Absolutely. The only thing you'll need is a adapter for the antenna connection. But for the rest, it's going to work really well. Rufus Newt, mine wants to be a DX808. XH data. J.A., what do you think of the Texan R9012? For the price, it's very, very, very interesting. It's a small analog portable. It's very capable, actually, for a small analog. I haven't used it in a while. I need to take it out and maybe make a few videos. I'll try to, I'll make videos of it using the AN48X loop to see. By the way, the Texan AN48 X loop that I've been talking about, there's one thing that's really nice with it. It comes with cables that fit your shortwave radio, even if you don't have a antenna input on your portable. It even comes with a piece of wire that has a clip. You just clip it like an alligator clip. You clip it to the antenna. That's actually a very nice thing. Same thing for the medium wave. Most portables, and you've seen the video, most portables don't have antenna connection for medium wave. Well, the AN48X has that little ferrite to couple with the ferrite within your portable to have medium wave reception. Brian, I bought an MLA 30 loop antenna for SPL 880. World of difference over stock antenna. Oh, I'm sure there must be a big difference. Tony Turtle, what is on the waterfall? Lots of stations. Different stations. And we see the Chesapeake, Virginia line there. We have 49 meter band signals over here of different stations. Fastload, nice to have you here. Rufus Newt, I ate stuff. It means you need more stuff and so on. Yours are so much fun. Absolutely. David Provost says, I was in the Middle East recently, and I could pick up dozens of broadcasts on my Texan 880 using just the whip antenna. It was like a station every 5 kilohertz. Yeah, absolutely. It's really a question of low noise, and some areas of the world, of course, have a lot more broadcasts than here in North America, but there's so much stuff. Brent had a great day with a mini day expedition earlier this afternoon. Heard Radio Thailand, New Zealand, Nigeria, and plenty of hams. Really fun. Cool. That must be, it's always fun. It's like when I go to Perry Island. I go to Perry Island, I hear all this stuff. I come back home and hear nothing, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of boring. I want to move. I want to buy Perry Island. Oh, man. Johnny DXer, some people prefer the R30 over the AR-DV10, which has various bugs, then render it unusable to some. I'm perfectly happy with my DV10. Nobody is 100% happy with a radio. And some people, depending on the use that you have, will be happy with a radio. Some others won't. For example, when I had the R20, what people don't understand, there was a guy on the VHF UHF channel the other day. He posts, I posted what's the difference between a communications receiver and a scanner radio. And he says, there's no difference. Yes, there is. It's not the same thing. A communications receiver is wider band. Usually the frequency range is continuous. It's not different ranges that are, programmed in. And also it has different modes, like single sideband, which scanner radios don't. And so when I got the R20, I remember, I read a lot on the radios that I purchase. For example, the R30, I've read at least 10 or 12 articles of ham guys that have either reviewed it or give their own opinion of it. And I mean, some of them are extremely happy with the ICOM SCR30. And some of them are more and closer to what I was saying. And it all depends. Like I was saying, it depends where you live and what you're expecting out of it. So almost every radio you'll have somebody say, that radio I hate, it's no good. I've had a few people that in the past told me, I said, well, I purchased an R20 and I sent it back. It's no good. Well, it depends what you want to do with it. Because it's good. It overloads easily. But if you, like I said, when you learn to deal with the radio for what it is, and you learn to deal with its flaws, you at some point get the perfect balance of everything, So, Joey D just watched an old war movie from 1947 and they were using a Zenith Transoceanic Royal 1000. Wow. David Provost says, I was able to pick up all Best Weekly North Korea here in Central Florida the other day. Cool. Cool. Denny Hosik, nice to have you here. Kevin J. Napalo says, I value your opinion and that is why I donated the radio. My fellow hams thought I was crazy saying it needed improvement. I feel vindicated. Thanks and enjoy what is good. It needs improvement. It does. Totally. You know, the only thing that I find sad, because actually somebody ranted at me really, really bad the other day. I won't name his name because he's a known guy. But not even the other day, it was this morning. So I didn't want to sound like, because I mean, you gave me the radio, and the first thing I thought is, yeah, but if I start ranting at that radio, I don't want you to get mad because I'm ranting at some of its flaws. Because, of course, one of the ideas that came to my mind is, yeah, but if I start ranting at it, then he's going to say, well, the hell with it, I'm never going to send him a radio ever again. Which is not the purpose, and the purpose is not that. Is to really be honest on what the radio is. And so yeah, I found it very delicate. You know, when I say I hate, one of the things I like is to buy a radio by myself because of a very simple thing. I can honestly say what I think. I bought it. I deal with it. I can say what I think. But when you get a radio donated, it gets a little more delicate because you're like, yeah, how am I going to deal with saying what I want to say? Is there a way to say it? I mean, I thank you so much. It's going to be used, and I love it. I really love it. It has its flaws that are driving me nuts. I find it sad that I'm having difficulty with D-Star decoding because of the overloading issue. But I'll find a way to deal with it. And at some point, you know, if I have to listen in the kitchen, kneel down on the floor to listen to a D-Star, I'll do it. But, I mean, it is still very interesting and very nice. There are some things that are missing. There are some things that are, unfortunately, a little sad for the price paid. But at the same time, I will use it. I will use it a lot. I mean, this morning, I got a comment that was in the... It looked like, how dare you rant on a radio that somebody gave you? Why don't you send it to me? At least here it's going to be loved and liked and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, come on. Please. It's not that. And that's where it gets delicate, you know? It's like, I'm sure someday somebody's going to send me a radio. I'm going to say, well, it's not very good. And he's going to say, well, the hell with it. I'm not sending you nothing ever again, you know? No, that's not... I got to be honest with what I say. And I want to be honest. Because somebody somewhere might buy an ICOM ICR30 if I say it's good. And ignore the flaws. Some of you out there will buy one because I said it's good. And then you might rant at me and saying, well, I bought one, but it's kind of, I find it crappy where I live. Or you might say it's good because you're happy with it also. Oh, man. So, but, I'll use it this year. It's going to be with me all the time when I go to Perry Island, everywhere. I'm going to bring that radio with me everywhere. It's going to be used, that's for sure. Page Master, keeping logbooks of what you hear. Yeah, that's a good idea. Absolutely. Okay, let's try to go down the list a little faster here because I'm a little behind. Okay. Morrison AV, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Jerry Agnew says 6501 upper sideband drop to S1 now in Northern Ireland. No, I don't have a lemon, Jerry. It has tons of problems with overloading issues in a big city. And it's overloaded because when I turn down the RF gain, signals improve. Signals actually get stronger at every step that I go down until I put it at level 7. Then, if I go down below 7, 654, they start going back down. And that's a classic demonstration that the radio is overloaded by something around me. That's for sure. There's too many really strong signals around me. David, using the MLA30's amplifier box on a so-called Mobius loop made of coax, about 1 meter in diameter, makes worlds of difference in compare to stock loop wire, and haven't touched the gain. Wow. So Morris Navy, nice to have you here. Yes, I did look at the Softwave radio. Absolutely. Kind of interesting. Totally interesting. Spiggy Costello, anyone know about the Texan loop? Yeah, the AN48X. I have videos on my channel. More to come, and a full review actually coming. The Texan AN48X on shortwave is not very good. It's very difficult to tune, and most of the time it doesn't even improve. A lot of the time it actually degrades the performance or the radio on a signal. But I was very pleasantly surprised on medium wave, and that might be where I'm going to use it most. I'm going to leave it as it is in the living room and use it as a medium wave antenna. JDX says, get a second MLA30 loop and match up the frequencies with the R30 to the RSPDX and see how the difference. And on a shortwave, because there's one thing, Jerry, on shortwave, it actually performs decently. I've used it with my W6 LVP loop on shortwave, and it's very decent performer, honestly. On shortwave, I'm pleasantly surprised. It is a better performer than the R20 is on shortwave, for sure. Christian Ferland, nice to have you here. They've taught someone with phonetics on 6230 upper sideband. Shitty Pyro 90, the new Texan loop is only sold on eBay via one seller, which is Anonco, the official Texan brand seller on eBay. $27 US, plus I paid $6 shipping. So it brought that antenna to $33 US dollars. The Senjian 909X is nice on SSB. It's nice also to have the fine tuning. Very, very accurate tuning. Jerry has WREC Pirate on 6955 upper sideband. Anything here? Oops. What did I do? What did I do? What the hell did I do? I'm gonna just stop it and start it again. Shitty Pyro says might have to try eBay to get it for my Texan PL600. Yeah, Anonco sells it, which is the general seller of Texan stuff, basically. Hi Mapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. Wilbur Forcier, nice to have you on board from South Jersey. Tony Turtle from Michigan. Christian Ferland, Gilles, what do you think? SDR play RSPDX or RSPDO? Yeah, depends, because the RSP Duo has, I believe, one functionality that you don't have on the DX is the fact that the Duo can listen to, I believe, two frequencies at the same time. Is that important for you? Then you might want to go Duo. If it's not, then I would probably go DX for improved performance and better front end. Let's go down and see. Man Radio DX, Gilles. When the weather gets better, hopefully I will see you do videos of the RSCR30 outdoors in the park, as well as the D808 plus ML830. Absolutely. When the snow melts and things get better. So, no, it's not. This is not a fake. It's a real one. And I can tell you, Jerry, I've read a couple of guys that have one and are in the same, say the same thing. The R30 is an overload issue, and I tell you, it is a problem. It's not a lemon. It really has that flaw in the receiver. And I'm not the only one ranting at it. There's quite a few out there, including a ham, that, man, he tests so many radios. And when he came to the R30, his experience was that, that ham lives in Cincinnati, I think. And he says in the city, he has a hard time using it, and the D-Star decoding doesn't work. But he went in a the expedition, and he actually brought it along, and he was saying that where he was, which was far away from big cities, there was actually a D-Star repeater not far from that place, and it was more quiet, RF-wise, and suddenly it became magic. The radio worked fantastically well on D-Star decode and all of that. The R30, I'm sorry, but for anybody that wants to buy a radio that decodes stuff, I cannot recommend that radio. It is, it has its flaws that are major enough that unfortunately I can't recommend that radio. It's sad because ICOM is known for its for its ham gear that is good. I mean, my ICOM ICRD 500 is amazingly nice as a receiver, and everybody loves the IC 7300 transceiver. You have nice stuff. Unfortunately, the R30 is, you see here, it says, Kevin says, comes from HRO, Ham Radio Outlet in USA. It is a radio that has major flaws, unfortunately. Can tell you. Bill says, apparently Kenwood Repair out of business. Still hunting for someone anywhere who can repair a Kenwood R1000. Kind of interesting. Huh. Jerry DX says, love my R30, use it every day. If there's a signal it's having a hard time catching, I go to the big gun with the R75. So, kind of interesting. And Kevin says, WS2H, I am an extra class verifier, give the exams, the radio tends to overload. It does. It does, unfortunately. Because you know what, Jerry? Probably the difference between you and me is that in your area, maybe you have less of these signals that could actually overload the radio. Because I'm sure that if I move out of the city, okay, if I'd go just to the suburbs, a little further away from all the strong signals, I'm sure that it would actually improve the radio. I'm sure that the overloading issue would go down. Because that is very, very unique. I mean, on my R20, when I lower the RF gain, so on the R20 I've been used, it also overloads. The R20 also overloads. But on the R20, I noticed that if I put the RF gain at 7 out of 10, does the job, receives pretty much everything. This one is worse an overloading issue than the R20 is, because it has a hard time really dealing with the signals. The R20, when you reach that RF gain that is just like the one that you need to find where you live, it actually copes with the signals okay. So the receiver side of it is not as good. They've done some, I would have removed a few things and made it better. For example, it has the dual VFO. Why don't you put just one VFO and actually make it good? Just put one radio in it, one receiver, but make it really good. Take that money you saved from having that dual VFO and make it good instead, and the performance of both A and B are not the same. The one that is wideband is a little bit deaf compared to the other one. If you listen to the same signals, so I can't put an outdoor antenna on the R30. Forget it. When I put my mobile vertical, oh boy, that radio just goes crazy. So I have to keep it on its telescopic that comes with the radio. So it could very well, Jerry, be a environmental issue. Where you live and where I live, the radio is not subjected to the same strong signals. So it might actually be that in your area it's quieter for that. So it actually works better for you because it doesn't have the same strong signals overloading it like here. Jeff Barrett, I may be confusing my digital modes, but can't you use a hotspot with D-Star? I'm not very knowledgeable of D-Star stuff, but it seems to be very interesting. All the information that you get from D-Star. I was looking the other day when I was listening to CanadaNet. The display can display the call sign of the guy, where he is, stuff like that. It's kind of cool, actually. Kind of cool. Let's go down. Let's go down. So, and it's probably that you live in a place where the R30 behaves better, Jerry, and that's it. Vo Viking. Yeah, living between New York and Philadelphia probably has a lot of high signal levels. Casey Red Dragon, nice to have you here. What's my big signal on my screen? That's some kind of radar. It's there almost every night. It's between 68, 65, and 69, 10 kilohertz. It's a very wide band kind of digital or radar stuff. So, yeah, because Jerry, you're talking about shortwave. The R30 on shortwave is not bad. I'm talking VHF, UHF. On shortwave, it works. On VHF, UHF, it overloads and it's completely nuts. Because all the videos that I've seen that you posted are all shortwave related. On that, I posted a video of 100 last week of 160 meters. I mean, the hams were coming in really well, and it was really nice to hear them. Somebody's saying, wow, 160 meters on the R30 works great. And yes, it does. But move to VHF, UHF. You're getting into trouble there. Because on the lower bands, there's not a lot to overload it. It's really on the upper bands. It can't cope. It doesn't cope well with the signals. It's the higher frequencies that are a problem. Esteban, I recently installed an app called Shortwave. Yeah, it seems okay. Have you the opportunity of testing it? Yeah, I actually like it. The Skywave schedule app is great. For those that are looking for an app for Android, tablet, or phone, Skywave schedule is absolutely great. I've got it here on my phone somewhere. I've installed a new launcher and everything just like moved as I'm going crazy. Here it is, Skywave schedules. It's a really, really nice app for to know what's on the air or to find schedules and stuff. It's really, really great. Has a map of the signals you're listening to. Check that out. It's really, really worth checking out. There's even a logbook functionality here. So all sorts of things. It's really, really nice. Honestly, check it out. It's a very, very good app for schedules of shortwave. Am I getting the buzzer? Let's check it out. 4625. Yeah, I'm hearing it. It's in the noise, but I'm hearing the buzzer. Kevin says, yes, you can get a D-Star dongle and problem for D-Star disappears as long as you can establish an internet connection. Yeah. Keegan has a quiet 60 Hz buzz through his headphones at times due to CW contest going on. Ah, so you're getting some kind of interference. William Conlon. Yeah, that's the same. It's a simple thing, Jerry. It's the question of the environment we are in. You would bring your R30 here, it would degrade badly in VHF UHF because it would be overloaded suddenly like mine. And I'm sure if I bring mine at your place, it's gonna behave perfectly like yours does. It's a question of strong signals around. You know, I got antennas. There's a building here just at the corner of the street with like 10 antennas on top of some transmissions of VHF and UHF stuff. Plus, I got a lot of very strong signals everywhere here. Any receiver on a VHF, UHF that is not done properly overloads instantly when you use it here. A great example of that, all the multi-band receivers that I have, the realistic patrolman, when you go on VHF and UHF, tons of overloading everywhere. It's always been like that pretty much. There's a lot of signals in the city here. Ciao, somebody-nuance. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Well, that's an interesting question, Casey Red Dragon. Technically, the radar signal needs to bounce off something and then come back. Yeah, Jerry, I'll move in the woods. Oh, man. So, what else do we have here? So apart from that, of course, the RSPDX is, I love the RSPDX for now. I got no complaint on it. I'll be testing it on VHF, UHF range, and of course trying to. So you'll see more and more videos coming out of the RSPDX in the next week. I'll be doing more videos of the AN48X loop antenna from Texan. I will, of course, try to post more stuff. I've had a lot of difficulty. Finding time is difficult. And I had a lot of difficulty finding enough time to do everything. You know, when you take care of several YouTube channels at the same time, it's not like, you know, if I would be only on this channel, you guys would get tons more videos because I would have the time to devote to just this place. Unfortunately, because I have the other channels to take care, it divides my time in a day into different things. And if one channel requires more input because something's happening, then of course I dedicate more time there and less time on the other ones. That's the bad side of having more than one channel on YouTube. But I will try to do my best to post as many videos as I can, for sure, because I try to have more information and more stuff to talk about all of this for and try to have videos of everything. So it's really kind of cool. Yeah, it is nice, Jared, to switch antennas just by a click of a button. Absolutely, it's really cool for that. Oh, Dolph, I'm gonna check out the email. Because I have a lot of emails coming through every day, so I kind of have a hard time going through them, all of them. I'm gonna check it out and come back to you, for sure. Keegan, hearing the buzzer 4625 on the VE3HOA Ottawa SDR. I'm hearing it. It's weak, but it's there. Definitely there. I hear the buzz as I'm talking, actually. Matambali 8933, New York, San Francisco, big radio signal. KC Red Dragon wants to make a Doppler radar for weather, if that's possible or it's legal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'll come back to you, Dolph. It's nice to see you here. Rufus Newt says, I live in nowhere land. The MLA30 and Longwire work together. It's an interesting comparison. Yeah, you know, when you are in a quiet place, you know, actually, I would love to test that. Be in a quiet environment and compare, like, you know, 150 feet of wire in a quiet place and in the MLA30, for example, you know. That would definitely be interesting, for sure, to test out. Matambali 8891 Gander. Let's try it out here. 8891. See if we hear some comms. At this time, I'm usually more down in the cool, Dolph. And there'll be an official review because what I did now is just showing what I did, and actually I was trying to position the camera and do something that the best that I can. But there will be a official review of the AN48X antenna, which will talk about its overall performance on shortwave. Unfortunately, once again, if you buy a Texan AN48X for shortwave, you're wasting your money. Go directly to an MLA30. You'll have a much better experience. But like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised for medium wave. I need to try long wave also. Maybe it's going to bring in some beacons that I haven't heard in a long time. But it's kind of interesting. Keegan says closest SDR is in Belleuil, Quebec. VE2CWQ SDR is not receiving the buzzer. So that means its setup is not as good. Maybe it has more noise than I do. I mean, it's in the noise. It's barely audible. There are some nights it's better than that here, but I definitely hear it. Definitely hear it. So it's kind of interesting. Hey, Ivan, nice to have you here. Aichalakov, nice to have you on board. And so, what else is there to talk about? I'm going to, once again, share all the little details. If you like what I do, if you want to give a little something to help out, don't forget that you can do so by paypal.me/shortwave. A lot of that will go to new radios eventually. PayPal is also you can send it to the Yahoo email that you see here. So it helps, pay for radios, for stuff to test out. Helps pay also for the more expensive internet connection that I have. You can be a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. That will help out also. And thanks for everybody that have donated. And it's always nice to have you guys help out in some way. You need to purchase sometimes new equipment, change the lighting systems. It costs money also for my more expensive internet to have a fast connection. Thanks, everybody. Henry Casely, nice to have you here. Henry, G8TMH. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool to have everybody here. I listen aeronautical stuff. I listen more in the lower frequencies. I'll listen like on the 5501, I think is one. Usually in the 5 megahertz range. I will have a lot more communications from everything aeronautical from New York, Gander, and so on. That's mostly where I go most of the time. Anything else here? Let me just check the email, see if anybody has written in, said something. Nothing special here. And email, and reached pretty much here. Matamali says same here. 8 megahertz not active. So hey guys, we've been on for 3 hours. Time goes really, 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 really fast. I will take it easy for the rest of the night. I'm gonna go cook some food. I'm hungry. Hope you enjoyed today's show once again, and don't forget to listen to the International Radar Report on Sunday, 15:30 UT on ckut.ca website for streaming. I want to thank everybody for being here and being great fans as always. Love you all. It's always cool to have everybody on board. And thanks for donations. Thanks for being great fans. Don't forget, Facebook group. There's a nice Facebook group where you can actually join, which is official SWL channel, same name as the YouTube channel here. Hope that everybody had a great time, and stay safe, my friends. It's always cool to see everybody here from around the world. I'm always amazed at all the people from around the world here. It is something that is always kind of cool. And time goes by real fast. I mean, look at that. 3 hours of talking, and it just went like this. So take care, my friends. Stay safe. Here, I know the weather's going to be kind of complicated this weekend. And look for the videos coming up. More on the AN48X, more on the RSPDX, including a full review. And so much more to check out and talk about. Nice to have you here. Take care, my friends. Love you all. And please stay safe. Bye-bye.